All right, friends. Welcome. Welcome. Hi, Stacey.
Hi, Amber. Welcome, everybody. We're here together, hosting together.
This is so fun. We had this idea to just do a collaborative conversation because it's sort of like, the people that are listening to our podcasts, they already know the deal. You know? They already know
Totally.
us. They know us. They're with us. And it's like to me, the value we can really bring in today's conversation is just really cannonball in to a deep conversation about transformational business growth and mentorship and coaching and like what that winding road looks like.
Absolutely. And we were saying right before we started recording how, our people, the people that listen to us, our communities, our clients, our listeners, are people also that kind of like expect from us that our shows are very much about like real conversation and real talk. And I know for the people that listen to my show, they love when I bring people on because it's not like I'm bringing in some stranger to promote something, but it's always I'm bringing in someone where I'm like, this is my actual friend or colleague or someone who I really know. And they love that being introduced that way to people.
Same. Okay, so let's talk about how we know each other first, because I feel like that's an important context sort of landing point. So
Yeah.
it's funny that we only met very recently in person, like actually, face to face. But I've known you for a while. I've known of you in our space for a long time. We have some very, very special mutual friends, and
Exactly.
Mike Ganino and Marisa. And so you went, talk about what actually brought you to the event where we met at. Because actually, I don't think I know the fullness of this story.
Yeah, so we met at Laura Sprinkle's Rootable retreat, which I was attending the whole thing. I know you came as like you live near Laura, right? And live
Yeah.
near the venue. And so I was at that retreat and we had this special night with the silent disco, and a dinner that you came for that part. But I know Laura again through, this community of online business owners, and she and I are in two different whatever we want to call them, peer mastermind communities, rich relationships and the mixer mind. And I had met Laura in those communities. And when she was putting on her retreat, I was so drawn to going to the retreat because my background of, before I was a business coach and in this online space, I was a yoga teacher and I owned a yoga studio. And there was something about this retreat that Laura was doing it on this eco farm in Maine that really was calling to me because one of the things that I find myself less interested in is going to these kind of like big conferences that people go to. And, obviously you can meet a lot of people, there's a lot of networking, but my vibe was so much more. I think this is going to be more my speed. It was more intimate, it was more, the business owners that were there were a lot more. This word is so cliche now, but like kind of soulful business owners. And, like it wasn't as much of just like a marketing conference. And so I signed up to go to that, but I didn't know many people going. I knew a few people. And I was just going with my sort of energetic instinct was I think that this is going to be a place where I'm going to connect with the kind of people that I really love to go deeper with, really.
Mm, yeah. So that was so fun, right? Because I feel the same way. I love Laura. I've been, connected to her for many years and she's become a friend and, just a fellow New England entrepreneur, which there are not so many of us,
Yeah.
and she's an OG. And so when she was like, I'm having summer camp, at an eco farm or whatever, I wasn't able to make it for the full experience, but I absolutely wanted to come to the cross pollination dinner, and it was so fun. And so we got to officially meet in person, and we've just connected ever since. And one of the things that really struck me when we were having a conversation, Stacey, I remember that day I was like walking. It was a hot summer day. I was like walking on the dirt road, and we were both talking about our businesses and the types of work that we do. And you shared that your work, much like mine, is really intimate, right, with people. Like you really go there, you really know your clients, you really journey with your clients, you really, hold a container in a super intimate way. And that's by design.
Yes.
And I want to talk about this because I don't know about you, but I have felt along the way, I've always done that, but I've also dabbled. I've done 500-person events, I've done one-to-many programs, I've done the bigger launches. And I felt often with those things that they were just such heavy lifts for me.
Yeah.
But there was like some part of me inside that felt like, oh, but this is what I'm supposed to do. And it was like this real conflict because I also like did do it and I could do it. But when I really look at my satisfaction meter inside of it, um, I have a much higher sense of satisfaction in the intimate container, in the walk with type coaching style. So I'm curious about how you kind of came into it on your story because that's been mine along the way.
Yeah. I love this. You know, Amber, I come from, as I said, I come from this background of teaching yoga, right? I mean, I come from a performing background and then teaching yoga. And, I owned a yoga studio and everything that I ever did with yoga was in person. I never, by the time of the pandemic, when so many things moved online and people started doing more online, I was already kind of very much kind of on the tail end of my yoga teaching because at that point I had already exited owning a studio and I was just teaching a couple of classes more out of just for my own enjoyment and because I had so many students here in New York that, wanted me to teach. But I was so full in my coaching business and I feel like I am an in-person intimate person maybe because of that because my whole experience was how many people. I mean, occasionally I taught like one of these kind of big cool, a yoga class for like a lot of people for an event or something. But in my studio, how many people was I ever teaching? I mean, a class would be maxed out at 40 people, and I feel like over the years I got to know my students, whether they were the people that came regularly to my classes, and then eventually, I trained them to be teachers, and I had one-on-one clients. And so when I entered the coaching business, I never even knew anything about I didn't know what launching was. I didn't know I never even had the idea that I was going to sell courses. I just thought I'm going to kind of make this an extension of what I felt I was doing as a yoga teacher. And then as I entered into the online business world and, started finding out what was going on and meeting people and really seeing, what it was like to expand, we'll call it. I kind of feel the same as you described, which was like, well, no, I didn't even do what you said. I have never done a 500-person event. But I started feeling like, wait, is the only way that I can, have a successful business or a sustainable business or a, scalable business. I'm putting up my quote fingers for those of you who are not able to see us. Is the only way to do that to go into this kind of like impersonal, automated, evergreen, done for you. And also, a lot of the coaches that I had been following and that, I was maybe looking up to who had bigger businesses than me. I feel like a lot of the messaging was how to remove yourself from your business, how to not
Yes.
have calls, how to not have to be tied to this or that. And something in me was like, but this is why I do what I do. I mean, I do what I do because I think I'm called to be a person that helps other actual human beings to have some sort of transformation. Even teaching a group class in yoga, I still always thought, well, I'm coming into this room to take these people on a journey that even if it's 1 hour or 90 minutes or 2 hours, I'm here to facilitate their opportunity to quiet whatever all the phrases are that we use to quiet the noise, to turn inward, to to get clarity, to calm their nervous systems enough that they could
Mm.
really see what maybe was possible for them, or make a decision or a choice that felt otherwise impossible to make when your head is so, full, or you're so full of anxiety, or whatever it is. And that's always been what I saw myself as doing. And as I started looking at, what people were telling me was the way to go, I started feeling more and more like, but then, I was so naive. I was like, but how can I help people get the transformation then, And it took a lot for me to kind of like decide that I was just going to double down on doing what it is that I love doing, and trusting that
Mhm.
the business model, or the ability for me to make more money, whatever it is that I want, for myself, for my business, that I would be able to do it while also doing the work as I think I really want to be doing the work. Like, I'm not interested in having a company where I'm not the one, helping my clients. Like, that just doesn't appeal to me. So, yeah, it's interesting though. It's interesting to be in this online business world. And, I surround myself on purpose with people who have multiple seven-figure businesses, who are doing big things in the world. But one thing that I've really been working on for myself in this last year was kind of the difference between how much money I make, or someone makes, and how much of an impact they are here to make in the world. And I'm really working right now a lot on separating my thought leadership and my, like, how I want to be more visible and be more out there, and not having that have to be a direct tie to how much money I make, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So then what ways do you do that? Like your business model, how does that exist in a way so that those two things can operate sort of independent of each other, but also in a complementary way?
Well, I mean, I do have a group. Look, I mean, I do think I'm very realistic, right? And I know, there are only so many ways to, again, quote unquote, scale a business. And one of the things that I've been talking about a lot, like even just in my community, and to myself, is sort of talking about the fact that, like, there are many different ways to make more money, for example, right? If that's something that you want. But, so for me, I created my academy, which is my one to many model, but it's a high ticket program, and working with me one on one is, and, this term high ticket, I am assuming our audience knows what we mean, but, I'm not in the business of trying to sell a volume of things that cost $97, right? Or having a membership, or, I don't have the DNA for that. I literally have friends that are starting low ticket memberships as like a, as like a, an easy yes offer for people to sort of come on board their client pathway. And then with the
Mhm.
intention of those people then moving into other offers, for example, right? And whenever I think about that, for me personally, like, there's not a bone in my body that like wants to do it. And this has been a really interesting thing for the last year, right? And so I for me, I do create, my offers are definitely of an investment that, I'm not going to get a volume. I'm not going to get the same volume of people in, but they are significant, I think, and that is one way that I'm able to have the business that I want to have, right? Which is that I've created the offer that I really want to deliver, and that I feel is the one that serves my ideal clients the best. And it's working with people for longer term, right? So I also sort of tune out the noise
Yeah.
of, people only want 3 months. They want short. They want fast. They want results as soon as possible. And I'm like, okay, great. But maybe I'm just not the right coach for those people, because the work that I do with my clients, I don't really believe is delivered that way. And I don't think they get the results that way. And I've been
Mm.
doing this for a long time. So I think, like, for me, the way I'm doing it is my offers are longer. I don't try to do, short little things. they are more significant investment because they're so high touch and because I give so much. I really lead with value and service and generosity. And I think in order to really have a business that um, centers around an exceptional experience for my clients, the way that I can do that is to charge a little bit more and to make the offers really juicy and long and build really long relationships with my clients. So, I have clients that stay working with me for years. And it's because we're not just doing a quick fix or a marketing plan, but we're actually doing the work of like, hey, I'm going to link arms with you and I'm going to be your trusted partner as you're trying to figure out both life and business. And that's the people who I most want to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Same.
I don't know if that answered the question, but that it feels like that's the answer for me is just sort of staying true to how I want to work with people and trusting that there will be people
Mm.
that want that just
Yeah.
as well, just as much as there are people that don't, just as much as there are people that don't want the that kind of
Hmm.
coaching.
Yeah, and I think it's important to really like tease that out in the way that you talked about it because the reality is that there are models for everybody. I always talk about the right size business model and scaling what matters most, and that's your right sized model, and it's aligned with your vision. It's aligned with your energy style. I'm sure with your human design profile and all those
Yeah.
things, and the uniqueness of that is so important, but I think we get sort of swept up very often on the biz building journey. And I know that your clients probably come to you with the same things that mine do, where they're like, well, so and so said I should do this, and so and said, and it's just like so confusing. It's like this
Yeah.
mental tug of war of like what's going to be the right way. And I think that there's a real art and discernment level that are required to listen as those types of mentors to what clients are saying, what they're not saying, what is just everything in it. I call it witness work, and all of the ways that that sort of alchemically works together to then help the person design the model that they really want for their life. Because again, like you don't have a business without a life. And so it's like, how do all these little puzzle pieces then fit together? And I love it because I just feel like I've got my little miner's hat on and like there's this discovery work and I get to kind of go find it and then bring it back. And then we like get these gems together and it's like, oh, it was always supposed to be this way. And I've had my own version of that, to get to
Yeah.
here to be able to actually then operate my right size business and get to do work in the most intimate way possible.
Do you find that when clients come to you, because I'm very curious, because this is definitely my experience. Do you find that when clients come to you, when people find you, have they frequently been like they kind of know about all these models, right? They know about the automated funnels. They know about paying, spending money on ads for lead generation. They know about selling low ticket evergreen products, and they know about group programs. They know about courses. They know about all the things. And do you ever find that when people come to you, they know those things, but they don't know anything about what it really, I'm going to say what it takes or what goes into those business models. And
Mm,
do you find that you have to kind of like help people to really understand what it looks like on the outside, like when they see
yeah.
all of these people sort of claiming to make tons of money by doing these huge launches and selling these 497 courses and stuff. And then I find that when people come to me, they don't have any idea what goes into doing that. And I have to do a lot of helping people to relax into knowing that it's okay if that's not what they ultimately
Mm,
really want to do. Because I think that there's a lot out there of like sort of how to make money, right? And
yeah.
I know we all want to make money. I want to make money. You want to make money. We all want to make money. But there's a lot in this world right now in this space that emphasizes big launches, making a lot of money, how to do it fast, how to do it. And then when people come to me, I have to be like, oh my God, like what you don't know is that like that person pays a lot of money to, for an audience. They pay a lot of, or they've been doing this for so long and they have a 10,000 person email list and you have a 10-person email list, and I have to sort of gently tell people a lot of these things. And sometimes I feel like I don't want to be negative, but I want to encourage people to know that like that those business models don't work for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. It's a mix. And I think that for me, I think my brand in my business is really positioned. Like people come to me, I feel like after they've tried a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so they're a little bit like, okay, like a little weary and a little bit
Yeah.
like, okay, like help, let's like bottom line this. And I feel like for my people, when we talk about what their model is going to look like, it's actually like a big exhale. And
Mm,
so they might have a lot of that in their head, but I feel like my person, when they come to me, they're just like, can you just help me, please? Like they've like run many miles and their little sneaks are worn out and they just want to exhale. And I think this is cool too, because it's like such a subtle thing, but we have different ideal clients. And that's also really, really important to help people understand that like my client isn't their client and your client isn't my client.
right.
And there might be like, yeah, of course, like some crossover, but the
Right.
sort of bulk that never ceases to be so astonishing to me. And one of the things I think I used to sort of railroad myself with was I used to think that what I was being attracted to by watching other people's things was what I was supposed to be doing in my business, but
Yeah.
I'm not even my ideal client. And so I'm somebody else's ideal client because my clients are coming to me because I've already like learned the things that I'm applying. So it's this really weird matrixy kind of thing that gets you kind of get in your head and like, whoa. But it's been fun to unravel that and to get to play in this space with people about really understanding, yes, form a version of you and all these things and magic wands and what would you do and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But most of all, like, what are they saying that they need? And I think that's a cool nuance to talk about,
Yeah.
actually, because one of the things I see people missing the mark often, I just got a visual of like shooting at the bullseye with their little bow and arrow, and they're just like by a couple degrees too high. And so they're overshooting rather than like hitting the actual target. And that is they have learned all these things that are like the modality or the transformational piece, and then they're leading with that as like what they're selling with, but their ideal client isn't there yet. Their ideal client is like, I just need to be able to make my business work. And they're like, alignment, embodiment,
Yeah.
getting into the frequency. And the person's like, okay, cool, but like, can you help me get clients?
Right.
How do you help your clients get the arrow back on target? I would love to
Yeah.
hear this.
So, oh, what a great question. So, I think that one of the things that when it comes to how do I get clients, right? Like if we're just going to
Yeah,
go
I mean,
right there,
really,
we're
that's
going to
what
go
it
right
is,
there,
isn't it? Yeah.
right? Like if we're
Boil
just
it
going to
down.
go there, how do I get clients? How do I make money? Right.
Hmm.
And what, I feel like I introduce things in these kind of in a layered way,
Yes,
because
yes.
one of the things that I teach, and I say it all the time, I feel like it's one of my sort of sayings, right? If you'd say like, what are the things that Stacey says all the time? One of them is all you need to make money in your business is an offer and someone who wants to pay you for it. Like if we were to just like whittle things down, right? To the
Hmm.
just very simply, you need an offer and you need a person who says, yes, that is what I need, right? And will pay
Right.
you for it. And so everything else is about So, how do we create the offer that someone that is your ideal client is going to want? And also that you are going to be really freaking excited to sell, because that's how we then start to get into, without having to tell somebody, oh, you have to be embodied and whatever. Just creating an offer alone makes you have to do a lot of the work that we have to do in
Yes.
order to become confident, embodied, clear, all of those things that like we know that we in alignment, all of the things that we need. When I say to someone, let's craft your offer, then if that's the process, I get to then bring in all of the things that are going to be involved in like getting that offer, because that offer should be a reflection of what you're the most passionate about helping people to do or
Yeah.
helping people with. And it should also be with someone in mind, like the kind of person, when all this talk about ideal client and whatever, I always say like your ideal client can't be this sort of like made up avatar, because the bottom line is that the reason why you even got your certification or decided to be a coach or decided to do the work that you're doing, I promise you it's because you were walking around your life or the planet and you already had an idea of some people that you knew that really needed your help, right? And I'm not saying they're going to necessarily pay you to be your clients, but who your ideal client is someone that you already know, and it's also very possibly someone a lot like you. It might not mean that you hit rock bottom or that you were, that you went through some dark soul of the night. Like, I don't think that that's the only thing that makes you your ideal client, but I do think that our ideal clients are people that are not, I always say I can coach anyone, right?
Hmm.
I can
Hmm.
coach anyone. Of course I can. But that doesn't mean that anyone is my ideal client, because that doesn't mean that
Right.
they're going to pick me to be their coach, right?
Yeah.
So, so I think that like with my model, right, when it's like let's figure out what you really are offering people, that's we cut just by doing that, we're secretly actually looking at everything from your own confidence in what you do, overcoming your imposter syndrome, because you're not going to create an amazing offer if you have imposter syndrome, and even your selling, like the fear of
Mm.
selling and the fear of seeming salesy. I say if you love your offer so much that you can't wait to tell someone about it and how you can help
Mm.
them when you're talking to someone who really needs you, you're not even going to think for 1 second, uh-oh, am I being salesy?
Right.
So
Right.
to me, it all begins with that. And then we
Mm.
get all the work that comes along with that. I don't even have to tell people we're going to get energetically aligned. I'm like, it's going to happen through the
Yeah.
process of doing this work.
There's this Alan Watts quote that I'm obsessed with right now. And it's if you want the ocean, you must first become the vessel capable of holding it. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And I couldn't agree more. And it's fun to let the work do the work in
Yeah.
people so
Yeah.
that they can then realize themselves more fully, because that's ultimately the point of the whole thing anyway. And I think that's why we're entrepreneurs. It's like we wanted to have less tethers on us. We wanted to, I really think, like meet the money thing head on, like meet the part of me that feels small and afraid to be seen head on. Like, I think the
Yeah.
people that choose to create their own businesses and their own brands and their own whole universe of ways of helping, like taking their magic and their alchemy and then putting it out into the world, are like a special type of person. And I love working with entrepreneurs because they are inherently creative and they want to be the creators of their reality in very specific ways, even if they don't understand that fully yet or they're afraid of that. I love that work because it's like, let's open this thing up and let's go do the thing. And then there are just really no limits on what's possible in what we can create. And it like blows my mind to look back at my own, you know, last 11 years as an entrepreneur and think like, I've built a multiple seven-figure business over those 11 years,
Yeah.
from like an idea. I've built houses and structures and things that are like legacy for my family from my ideas. And that just gets me like so lit up to think about, and that it's like not unique to me or to you, right? It's like we can all do this in our own way, and it has to be in our own way. It has to be.
I love that. I love that. And I agree. When I first became a coach, I wasn't a business coach, right? I mean, I became a health and life coach. And when I started like coaching people on business, right? Part of it was because and I still feel I was having a conversation last night. I was out to dinner with some other women in New York that are also entrepreneurs, and the question was asked, like, what are you, what are you letting go of at the close of 2025, and what are you a yes for in 2026? And one of the things that I said I wanted to let go of, and I don't think it's that I want to let go of it because it's something I'm really proud of, but um, what I'm going to let go is thinking that it's not a valid way of doing business, what I'm about to say. But I look at myself and I'm like this scrappy,
Hmm.
right? I'm like a scrappy. I don't have my college degree. But the reason I don't have my college degree is because I got cast in a Broadway show instead of doing my senior year of college, right? But I
Yeah.
didn't go back because life lifed, and I lost my dad when I was young, and I didn't have the finances to go back to NYU. So, I don't have a college degree. I've been making my own way in the world for so long. I mean, I'm 57 years old and I've never had like a a real job, right? Like I've never had like a corporate job. Um, when I was an actor, I worked everywhere. I mean, I did everything under the sun, right? And then when I became a yoga teacher, I kind of like really built that career, but I still always felt like
Hmm.
there was nobody paving the way for me. Like I figured out to like start doing retreats. This is before yoga retreats were like a whole industry, right? I figured out how to like put all the pieces together to have people travel to Mexico to like a little place, and sort of get the caterer and put all the things together. And I've just made everything up as I went along. And then when I
Hmm.
didn't want to own the yoga studio that I eventually got to own with some business partners, I became a coach. And even then I was like, I was 50. I was about to turn 50, and I what I knew was that I didn't want to own this yoga studio anymore because it wasn't feeling good. Like just the partnership just was making me feel like, wait a minute, like I'm like going to be 50. I don't want to be like unhappy like at my business, right? And I became a coach also being like, well, I'm just going to have to figure this out. And I've done everything in this really scrappy way, but I've always been successful. I've always figured out how to make money, and I've done it all by using just what I'm good at and what I actually love doing. And so when I became a coach, I wasn't thinking business coach, but what I was thinking was, oh my God, I talk to people every day, all day, that are in circumstances in their lives that they don't like. They're in a toxic work environment, or they're in a
Hmm.
relationship that they are not happy in, or they feel like they've come to this point where they're not satisfied or happy with what they're doing. Um, and they were all terrified to do something different. Everybody had like a reason for not being able to make a change, and very often it was that they couldn't afford to do it because they were reliant on their partner for finances, or they were scared to not have this job because they didn't know how they would make money, and a lot of it came back to money. But when I first started coaching, I thought, I just want to help people believe that if they have something that they'd rather be doing than what they're doing right now, that they can and that they should. And so, what you said about why you love entrepreneurs and why you love working with entrepreneurs, and this whole idea of like that we get to create what we want, that is why I started my business. I just didn't think of it as business coaching at the time.
Right, right. Yeah. I love it. I love your journey so much. And it's so funny because I'm like, there's not even ever been one moment in my experience where I'm like, Stacey doesn't have a college degree. Like,
I
it's like
know.
the thing that we're like, we all carry personally that are our like deep, dark secret thing we're insecure about. Like, it's just not a thing
Yeah.
to other people. And I think it's so fun to then sometimes like say that thing out in the open because it just takes the barb off of it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, so the thing I was letting go of was I was like, I have this thing in my head for sure, and here I am with you, you've stated, multi seven figure business owner. And, I started this business, when I was 50 years old. I didn't even know that there were like people like you that were like in the online business world. I didn't even know that there were coaches. Like I literally knew nothing when I
It's so
started this
amazing. I
business.
love it.
And
Yeah.
and then like only a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, when I sort of stumbled into Selena Sue's world, right? Like that's kind
Yeah.
of like, I mean, I had a business coach in that that I started working with in 2020, right when the pandemic hit. And that was like a weird year, obviously, we all know. And then, but because of her, I knew who Selena was, for example. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was following Selena, and it was really only a few years ago that I sort of like took advantage of going to this like 2 day mastermind thing that Selena was hosting. And it kind of opened up this world. And I started meeting all of the people, right? Like that we said we have mutual friends. But for me, it's been very recent. And one of the things that I haven't let it do too much, but the thing I'm letting go of is this idea that because I've just sort of made it up and I feel very scrappy and I feel sort of like I just kind of create as I go and I figure it
Mm.
out as I go. And I am strategic. That is the way my brain works. That's why I was such a popular yoga teacher, right? You came to my yoga class and at the end of the class, you'd be like, wait, how did I end up putting my leg behind my head? I didn't even know I could do that. And it would be because I really know how to like put things together to lead to an outcome, right? And that's what I've done in my business and it's now what I help other people to do. But the thing I said I was letting go of was the idea that being scrappy is in some way like inferior or bad. And that I'm just sort of
Mhm.
like, no, 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 I'm going to own that I'm actually like the living proof of the work that I actually do with other people, And yeah, so
Mm.
it's an interesting thing to, you know, to to look at what it really is to be an entrepreneur and as you said, to just really create what it is that you want to be doing. And when you think about your programs and your offers, your
Mhm.
book that you just put out,
Mhm.
right? That we should talk about, our podcast, like all these things that we're creating, you know, we're creating these things because it's just what we're being called to do, how we want to put our voices, our work, our creativity, our energy out into the world. And a lot of it is like make it up as you go because the truth is that everybody's out there telling you that they know the perfect way for you to like launch a podcast or write a book or have
Yeah.
a business or do this or do that. And you know what? Nobody knows. It's all a big experiment. It's all just like, and so we all want support and we want guidance and we want mentors. I think it's great that we can like tell other people, oh yeah, yep, I do have a podcast. So let's talk about it, right? But at the end of the day, none of us can guarantee anybody anything other than let me be here with you while you take this huge risk to just like try something.
Mm. Amen. So good. So true. So spot on. So what are you a yes for 2026?
For me, I'm a yes for this is I'm like I'm being really vulnerable.
I love
Um
it.
I'm a yes for speaking. Like I want to be on more stages, but I'm a yes for trusting my intuition and my gut and allowing myself to say that what I want to put out there into the world and what I want to speak about and what I want to talk about doesn't have to tie back directly to some sort of monetization, like meaning that I don't feel that I have to only speak to the kind of people that would join my academy, for example.
Right.
And that's a lot of what I've been taught over the last few years, like,
Mm.
in the business and sort of been, I feel that I've held myself back a little bit from kind of doing what I always thought I was going to do when I first became a coach. I had been in the studio with people for almost 20 years. And the thing that people loved the most about my classes, besides like that I could help them, do hard poses magically, was actually to hear what I had to say, like to hear like how I inspired people and how I help people to navigate like what it means to have a human brain and a human body that is, I call it, very complicated and sometimes problematic, and how can we manage having these brains and these lives while also pursuing the things that we really want to do, and how can we overcome the resistances and the obstacles and the challenges and the stories and the limiting beliefs. And I've been talking about that for decades. And then when I became a business coach, I think I got somewhere in my head that then I just had to go out there and talk about niche and offers and marketing.
Mm.
And I started feeling very much like confused and therefore like not really going for some of the things that I really always thought I was going to do, on stage or, as a speaker. And so I kind of didn't do it. And so 2026, I'm a yes for opportunities to just to talk about stuff that doesn't only have to do with like literally whether
Mm.
or not people are going to think that I can help them make money, because I think at the end of the day I can help people make money with everything that I talk about, because I think that helping people make money is so much more than helping them know how to be good marketers.
Yeah. I mean, I was just saying this to my Homeward community in a training. It's like, I respect you too much to just sit here and talk to you about one dimensional strategies that I know in this energetic that you will not be able to activate. I respect you too much to not follow the rope all the way back and help you at the root of the thing that's actually making it hard for you to make money
Yeah.
and to put your offer out there. And because of that, two things. This is why my offers and my model is designed in this way, because I understand that this is actually how it works. And two, I really want you to get results.
Yeah.
And so 100%, we're like completely lockstep on that great, go invest in the funnels and the ad strategies and all these things. Those are great skills to develop.
Yeah.
But the person who's going to be applying those things is the most important factor
Yep.
in the success formula. And so that's where I spend most of my time, because that's just how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've learned, and the reason why, for example, my academy is a year, right? And
Mm, yeah.
when you join,
So is my program, Homeward. It's a
exactly,
year. Yep.
right. And the reason is that, I did the thing when I, first started. My first group program was 10 weeks, right? And
Yeah.
then it evolved to 3 months, and then it evolved to 5 months. And when I eventually made it a year, it was because I have had so many clients come into a program, and then unexpectedly what happens, life happens, your
Yeah.
kid gets sick,
Yep.
I mean, my mom needed an unbelievable amount of my attention in the last
Mm,
2 years before she passed last year. um, I've had clients come in and stuff happens, like things slow
yeah.
you down, and then as soon as
Mhm.
people can't keep up with everything, and
Yes.
all they're thinking about is like, this is over in 3 months and I have to
I
make the
need to
most of
get
my
the value. I
investment.
need to get the worth.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't make this yet. I didn't
Yeah.
do this yet. I didn't
It almost like
what.
sets them up for the way, and this is why the art of offer design is so incredibly important, and having someone to help you artfully design your offer with all of these things that you just said and so much more that like you can't get in a 10-week, 12-week, here's how to build a funnel
No.
program. It doesn't work like that.
Right. And, you know, and inevitably, like, it's either you as the business owner or your clients, like, somewhere in there, like, there has to be, like, taking into account that, like, that you're a person living a life. You know, you
Yeah.
have kids, I don't have
Yeah.
kids. I was thinking when we were getting on this call, you know, to do this, I was like, oh, you know, what's so funny is that we're like city mouse, country mouse, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in my one bedroom apartment in New York City, you know, with my three cats, and you're in your gorgeous tree house, you know, in my like fantasy. I'm like looking at your screen, like, oh my God, can I come visit you, Amber?
You
Um,
can.
but
Please
but
do.
but the point is we all have our version of
Yes.
like
Yeah.
life. My mom, you know, I'm at the age where I had an aging parent, you
Yeah.
know, and a lot of my clients are also, you know,
That
in
is so
their,
important. I'm so happy you're bringing this up because it's like, as I'm getting older, I always joke about this because it makes me think about, so I'm a Britney Spears fan from like way back, and I always say to my clients and a lot of millennial clients, I'll say to them like, Britney's aging with
yeah.
us. Like we all still love her. Like I want to go to the Sphere to see the Backstreet Boys. Like that's something I really want to do with my daughter. And I've like gotten her onto it. And she actually is like, she knows all their songs. She's such a legend. Like she knows all the millennial music. But Britney's getting older, and so are we. And so our clients are moving through. Like I had a client who lost his mom this year, and I coached him while that was going on, like very, very close through that loss. And it's like life is going to life through the
Yes.
chapters of it while you are aging, and your clients are going to be growing with you. And these things
Yes.
are going to be big things, like
Yes.
little, big, beautiful things on their path that will cause disruption, that will cause total like life altering, flipping things around. And it's such a privilege to get to have that walk with people, to
Yeah.
be with them. I mean, that this is the thing that could just spontaneously make me burst into tears. It's like it is not lost on me at what an honor it is to be the person who is walking with that client while they're going through their hardest time in their life
Yeah.
and helping hold the rope with them, on all of these things, including their business, and like being the one that they can really tell the truth to. Like it's a deeply honorable thing that I think it's a sacred thing in this lifetime. And I don't
Yeah.
think everybody can actually do this in this way.
I don't think everybody can, and I don't think everybody wants to.
True. It's
And
true.
you know, like at my event, you know, I had my live event in October, and I had a couple of friends that bought tickets, like colleagues, friends,
Yeah,
right, that
yeah.
were there. And you know, the event was I mean, I have leaned in more and more in the last year, I'll say, to really not being afraid to speak to the fact that my ideal clients, the people who I really want to talk to, are the people who want the human-centric businesses, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
who that's their calling, you know?
Do you like
And
market directly to coaches, or what's your language on that?
oh my God,
I
you
know
know,
I struggle with it too, so that's why I'm
yeah.
asking.
I mean, I do say coaches.
Yeah, I do
I
too.
also know that there is some people I often say like coaches and expert teachers and experts, because I think that
Yeah.
there are some people
Yeah.
out there who want to have group programs or want to who want to offer their expertise and their knowledge, and they are working with people, but they don't necessarily, they haven't been trained as coaches and teachers yet, or so, you know. But
Yeah.
I often say experts, service based. I try, sometimes I throw the word transformational in there. I mean, I feel like I'm
Mhm.
experimenting all the time because I'm like,
I do too, though,
yeah,
Stacey, and I think that's right. Like I think that it's sort of people are multidimensional.
yeah,
And I always like want to give people the benefit of that multidimensionality and acknowledging that. And I think in such a boilerplate like chat GPT world that we're in right now, I mean, that's like a whole nother podcast. But
yeah,
I feel like we've got to be able to be dynamic in that communication to like really hit the chord of the resonance of people's humanity.
Yeah, I agree. Because I also have a passion for working with the people that want to be
Yeah,
the people that are also speaking, or or who are also selling by delivering some sort of transformational experience for their clients, right? Like, I
Mm,
believe that if you're a coach, one of the best ways to, or an expert in, or in someone that wants to help other people get outcomes of some sort, I believe that the best way to sell to them is to get them into some sort of experience with you. I am a live
totally.
launcher. I believe in offering masterclasses and workshops and things for free,
Same.
because
Mhm.
I think that, like, if you get in a room with me for an hour and a half, that's the best way for you to understand how I can help you. Or,
Totally.
and also, if I have the energy that you resonate with, and I want my clients to believe that they can do that too, right? Not
Mhm.
everybody is a Broadway performer or whatever. And I always try to tell people, like, that's okay. I can help you you know, to build up whatever it is that we need to build up for you to feel comfortable, leading something or whatever. But I think it's a really important, thing. So when I'm putting myself out there, I'm trying to sort of, like, I'm like, how can I call in these people that ultimately want to use their themselves as the
Yeah.
vehicle, right, for client attraction, as well as that really want to do the work with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and so, so I definitely do say coaches, but I often try to throw in a couple of other things in case people don't identify as coaches.
Totally. Totally. I'm just texting my family so they don't come up here or said recording. Keeping it real. Okay, so I think we're getting close to our wrap time.
Yeah.
So I guess where should we end? How do we want to land this? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I want to take a moment
Mm,
and ask you um about your book. And
yeah.
yeah. So, uh, it's tiny,
Little big
little
beautiful
big beautiful
things.
things,
Yep.
which, I told you when we were texting, when it first came out, and I was telling you, as I started reading it, it just had a little bit of like a feeling for me of, like, my favorite poet, Mary Oliver. Like, there was
Mm.
just something in, in the style, in the writing. Um, I'm just curious like, I think I think a lot of people want to do things like that, and don't. It's hard to find the time. I'm just curious, like, what is this, your first published book?
It's my fourth.
Your fourth. Okay.
Yeah. But so I wrote Master Your Money Mind first, which was a money mindset book. And then I wrote Paddle Home, which is my first poetry book. And then this is my second poetry book. I also co-wrote a book called Quantum Wealth with a co-author. So yeah, so like this one felt, I felt more bold. I felt like my voice was more clear. I think when I was writing Paddle, I was sort of like, I'm a poet, like in this question mark, as I was
Hmm.
writing it, and really realizing that part of myself, because I almost like didn't believe it, because I just thought, how does one become a poet? And after publishing that book, one realized that you become a poet by writing poetry. And
Yes.
it's like that simple. And so then this one became, I was more liberated, to your point, because I did it, I did the thing.
Yeah.
And so this has been a real love to get to put this out. And I think the voice in this one is more self-assured. I think Paddle, I was still a little bit in my victim consciousness, and still sort of like writing through those poems helped me to meet her. And the consciousness in this book is more from the observation vantage point of the isness of life. It's really like the and both, the pain and the beauty. I talk about like the beauty and the break of becoming, talking about being in the middle of having young children and aging parents who have some health challenges. So I'm like really meeting that,
Yep.
the knowing that that everybody's still here right now and how sacred that is.
Mm.
And also like witnessing myself in the middle of all of that, as a 44-year-old person on the planet. And so yeah, it's been a real gift to get to share it. And I felt more brave in the sharing too. And I've allowed people in to the process of that. And thank you for being one of those friends that has been supportive of the process. I really, truly, truly appreciate it.
Well, first of all, it's my pleasure, and from over here, yeah. Well, when we said like, how did we know each other? One of the things I didn't say was, you were someone that I mean, we became friends on Facebook, but not that we knew each other. And for me, you know, so I've been seeing you. I know who you are. And then of course, Mike, our mutual friend, loves you so much and has talked about you so much. And so I already had this sort of like adoration or this real, just really loving your presence
Mm.
and you and what you stand for and what you put out into the world and everything that I see. So it was not difficult to get on board and excited for your book and I wasn't your friend yet really when you had the other book. So I'm curious, when you wrote the book and putting the book out into the world, does it, because I'm literally asking this because as a creative person, as someone who, I struggle a little bit with, now I have a business and I run this business and I have a lot going on and I always have a lot to do. And I'm always like, oh my God, I have to record a podcast. I have to, oh, I have to do
That
this. I
was
have
me
to,
yesterday.
yeah, I have to create this opt-in. I have to,
Yeah.
all these things.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I'm like, oh, and I forgot, like, I really love to sing or like, oh,
Mm.
and, like, and so for you, is this book, is it related to, do you see it as related to your business at all, or is it like just another facet of Amber that
Mm.
you're allowing to like are you at a point where you can do all of these things and
Mm.
get and do them all even if it doesn't have to do with your business? Because I'm a little bit like wanting to get to that
Yeah.
place for myself.
Okay. I love this question so much because I feel like I would answer it differently now than I would have even like a year ago. And I think it's so funny. It's like we teach what we need to develop. There's we teach what we need to learn, but I'm like, yeah, but also like what we need to develop because I can't really teach from something I have no experience with. And so, and to strengthen and to embolden and to integrate more deeply. And so I think that one of the things that I had a revelation around as recent as I don't know, earlier this year was that there was sort of like I looked at myself in a sort of compartmentalized way. And when I started teaching about congruence, I realized that was kind of incongruent to be this like faceted person. And of course, we're all going to be multifaceted, but if I'm a personal brand who is teaching people to be more of who they really are, then I was like hiding certain things, like
Mm.
not on purpose per se, but like there was like part of me that wasn't fully expressed because of that. And so there's like one really kind of funny way that I switched that on this year. And that is my Instagram, Facebook connections were like not working properly. So it was like my stories on Instagram they would go on my business Facebook page, but like business Facebook pages are the lamest thing on the face of the planet. And I wanted my stories to go on my Facebook personal page. And my team couldn't figure out how to do it. The way that I ultimately did it, I was like originally verified as like a legacy verified person, but then I was like, how do I fix this? And then they were like, you have to pay to be verified to anyway, it like fixed that whole thing to get the connection point so that now my Instagram talks to my personal Facebook. And it's actually really funny because all of my personal Facebook people are like my whole like cat world, which
Yeah,
about that. That's a
I
whole
do.
nother thing.
I
Like
love
the
that.
shortest version for you guys listening to this, like, what are you talking about? Stacey and I are both crazy cat ladies. I might be a little bit crazier. But I
Only
grew,
because you actually come from a
yeah.
family that breeds and,
Yes,
and
my mom
shows,
has a business of breeding and showing Himalayan and Persian cats. That's like my first business. I started when I was
right?
10 years old.
Right.
And so I've been doing this my whole life, literally. And my mom and I still do this, and it's actually been very good for our relationship over the years. And then my daughter now is a junior exhibitor and it's all this stuff. And like we host shows and we travel all over the place and we have like really cute kittens very regularly. And
Fit
it's
in pockets,
the
pocket-sized
best. It's
kittens. Yeah.
like, oh my
Hmm.
God, they're so cute. But in any case, that part of my life was like just sort of on my personal Facebook page. And then I didn't share any of it on Instagram. And then I'm a poet, right? And then I kind of put some of that on Instagram, but not on Facebook. So now I'm laughing because I'm like, all my Facebook people are like, what the heck?
But
This girl is like, okay. And I like say kind of bold things on Instagram and I have it like posting on all of my, so everything is all in this
out there.
everywhere. All of it's
Yeah.
out. And it's been so liberating.
Mm.
It's been so liberating to just be like, yeah, I'm a person who really does a lot of things. Like I sing too. I sing the national anthem at sporting events, and my daughter does too. And it's like, I just do a lot of things. I'm really happy to be alive. You know, I had a
Yeah.
near-death experience when my daughter was born. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse at a really young age. Like I've come through a lot of stuff in my life. And I'm a former Division 1 soccer player and I still play in my old lady league and all this. And like, I'm a forest fairy. And I just like, I don't want to hide any part of me anymore, Stacey. And I think we've been so conditioned, especially in this business world, to be like niche and, use the right words and all this. And I'm like, it's all just manipulation.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Mm.
do that. I want to be a whole person. And I feel like such a relief in letting it all out because my whole life I was segmented and fragmented, and I'm not anymore. And it actually is like way richer, and I get to bring way more into my work. And I just don't have to overthink about the stuff that I'm trying to like, oh, wait, I only have this here or this. It's like, okay, I'm done with that. It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, hearing you talk about it, I literally have like a feeling in my body. Like I
Yeah.
literally feel the freedom and the expansion that you just like
Yeah.
described. I feel it on a
I
very
mean,
like
we want to hear
real
you.
level.
We want to hear your voice. Like, I want to see you get back out there and, like bring all of you out into the world because you're
Yeah.
so magnificent and so
Oh,
sparkly and like you're such a star. I mean, you're a star.
well, thank you. I think that for me, it's a little bit of also just the compartmentalizing doesn't feel like it's from the outside. It feels like it's from inside of me.
Yeah.
Because that I don't think is for me. I don't feel like afraid for people to like know that, like, or to see me or hear me sing or anything. I think it has to do with feeling a lot um, like bandwidth and sort of like,
Mm.
I think that like if you say to me, what am I a yes for? Like we'll go back to that and that could be a good way to end. And I want you to say what you're a yes for next year. One thing for me is that I think I think that I really learned in the last year that I don't care. I mean, I care about, I need to make money. I want to make money. I mean, I live in New York City. It's the most expensive city in the world. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we need money over here. Um, but I think that I'm really coming into a place where I'm like what I care the most about is that the business that I'm creating is a business that I can run, that I want to show up
Mm.
in. I don't want to like farm it out. I want to be there for my clients. That's why they want to work with me, right? And I also want to feel like it's okay for me to also have the time to go work on some music and go sing and
Hmm.
not be worried about my business or not be like feeling like the list of things that I have to do. And so for me, some of that and writing a book and all of those things that I'd like to do right now, I feel like my goal for next year is to really let myself know that like if I have to, again, I don't want to say make less money because it's not what it's about, but I don't think I care so much about building a business in a certain way that would make it harder for me to do those things that I really want to do because I
Yeah.
want to do all the things. I don't only want
Yeah.
to make money.
Yeah, and that's right sizing. It's right
Yeah.
sizing for the season that you're in and
Yeah.
really what you want and scaling what matters most to you. And
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing in the world because it's
Yeah.
like, you know what? Money's just a byproduct of our alignment. It's just an effect. You are cause.
Yeah.
And honestly, you're just gonna do it all, babe. You're gonna do the
Yeah.
whole thing.
What are you a yes for in 2026?
Yeah. I wrote down when you said it, I was like, ooh, what am I? So I wrote down adventure and fun. And I already have for 2026, like some travel planned, some different trips. And one is we're going to spend the month of March in Florida, down on 30A, one of our favorite places. And so I just like love the Florida version of me, especially in March, because, I'm looking at myself while we're talking. I'm like, wow, she's getting real white over here. We're getting real porcelain this time of year. And this year we went for a couple, like 2 weeks. And after my family was just like weeping because we didn't want to leave. It's always this way when we go to our favorite place. And, my husband and I looked at each other and we were like, let's try to go for longer. Like, let's go give ourselves a bigger break. And so I just actually yesterday booked the house that we're going to be in. And we're hosting my Elevate Mastermind. We have a retreat for like a couple days before. So we'll be doing that. So it's just going to be so fun, like adventures. And just being in the spirit of adventure and allowing for my life to meet and match that and being really playful. And I think that I'm excited about some other places that I might be invited to go do things that I just couldn't even know about right now. So it's like being in that playful,
Mm.
unattached energy and allowing the universe to fill in those
Maybe
gaps.
we should just put out like the first tiny, like, I don't know, whisper seedling of an idea that maybe one of the adventures is that we go visit Mike in Barcelona,
Yeah, that would be really
or
amazing and
maybe we do
crazy. And
something in
yeah,
Barcelona. Yeah.
yeah.
Woo.
Love, love,
Oh,
love.
Amber, thank you so
Mm.
much for having
Mm.
this conversation
It was so
together with
fun.
me.
It was so fun. Why don't I read a poem to like just wrap us up? Because
That would be perfect.
poetry's so fun. Okay. Um, I feel like this is kind of a fun one for us, a little the wild woman. Just, because I feel like this is what we're stepping into in our own ways. So I'm gonna read Wild Woman. This one's a little crazy. I love it. Okay. Send up a flare, let her rip. I want fully alive, on literal fire, carbonated consciousness, hearts beating out of chests, magic and mystery, nuance on steroids, full field sprints, adrenaline junkie, gimme what you got, turn it all the way up, babe, peaking on top of peaks, geeked out, red zone. Who do you think you are, wild woman? Needs no introduction, red carpets rolling, make their mouths drop. Call the paparazzi. Let me take a selfie, fully lit up, thanking my lucky cosmos life.
I just got the chills. I'm gonna go get my book. I have it, right? Right. You sent me a digital copy but I bought mine. I have it. I'm gonna go and actually get that poem because that poem is gonna be like I don't know, I need to like print it out and have it like near me
It's
because
like
it
your
feels
2026
it
invite. It's
is.
like,
It's the
let's
most
go.
amazing
Yeah,
energy.
I mean, it's so you, right? Paparazzi, like roll out the red carpet. Here we are. Stacy is in the house.
Oh my God. Well, thank you.
You're
Well,
welcome.
this was so wonderful. I hope everybody listening enjoyed hearing us just have a spontaneous convo about life and work and biz and transformation and all the things.
Let's say where people can connect with us. You go first.
Okay. Well, first of all, if you're listening to this on Amber's podcast, you could also come over to mine, Stacey's Passionate and Prosperous. And also, I'm on all the socials, of course, as my name, Stacey Brass-Russell. And I have a website, staceybrassrussell.com. And yeah, so I love hearing from people. So if you find me anywhere and send me a message, I'm going to respond and be very happy to get back to you.
Do you
And
have it's December 2025 when this is going live on my show.
yeah,
So, do you have anything right now that you're like, people could be signing up for? Are you hosting
yeah.
anything coming up?
I am. I don't know when this is coming out, but December 16th, I'm actually doing a virtual live encore of my event in New York City. So it's called Your Genius Edge, and that's happening on the 16th. And then I will be also doing something in early Jan. Yeah, because
And
I
it's a
am
free,
getting
that's a free class, isn't
that's
it?
free. Yeah. And I am
Yeah.
getting ready to launch my newest program. I haven't put out a new program in a couple of years. And in 2026, I am going to be I'm going to be offering a coaching and teaching mastery program.
Oh,
So
amazing.
it is my calling to help people be better coaches. So,
Please.
yeah.
Yes.
So
So
that's
good.
happening. Yeah. So if you get in any way, shape, or form to me or on my email list, you're going to know about any of those things. And that's already, um, uh, people are registering. We already have like almost 100 people signed up for that.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, this will go live before that. So
Okay.
that's
Awesome.
perfect timing. Yeah, we'll make sure of that on my side at least. Cool. Okay. My links, my podcast is called Homeward. So if you're listening on Stacey's podcast, come on over to Homeward, the Sovereign Business Podcast. And I record my episodes mostly walking in the forest, literally outside. So that's kind of a different experience. And you hear birds and all kinds of fun stuff. And I am at amberlilyestrom.com. And I am on Instagram at Amber Lilyestrom. And as we talked about, my books are on Amazon, so you can just search my name and check out the books there. And then I have this. It was actually made me think of. I was trying to imagine in my head what your archetypes were when we were talking. So I have this quiz called the Entrepreneurial Archetype Quiz, and it gives you your primary type and then a subtype, and it's really cool and it's really important for you to make sure that you look up in the guide to get your subtype, because the primary type is like what you are right now, and then the subtype is like what you're becoming.
Oh,
So
I got
my
to do this
yeah,
quiz.
you
Oh
got to
my
do it. It's kind
God.
of like my own version of like an Enneagram adaptation. And when I know what a person is, it's like it gives me so much information. So you can go to amberlilyestrom.com/quiz to access it, and you'll get a free report and all this on your own thing. I'm going to guess, Stacey, don't quote me right now, but I think that you're probably a mentor master teacher like me. And I'm excited to see if if that's what it comes out to be. So you have to take it and let me know.
I'm taking it. I mean, I have a client after this and then I'm taking it.
Okay,
So, yeah.
perfect. All
Oh my
right,
goodness.
friends. We
We'll have all
appreciate
the
you so
links in our show
much.
notes. Yeah. Thank
So
you.
good. Stacy, love you.
Okay.
Appreciate
Love
you.
you. Bye.